Imagine the scene. You're just chilling, you've been applying for jobs, when suddenly you get an email. So you decide to check it out and you see that you've got an interview, great! But then you see the dreaded words, it's virtual and it's on video. So how do you go about doing a video interview? That's what I'm going to share with you today, with some do's and some don'ts of video interviews, and you can use this video as a checklist to help you prepare for your video interview. Hello and welcome to Max Talks, where every Sunday I make videos to help you get to where you want to be. So let's get straight into the tips. The first tip is to dress appropriately. So for the most part, this should be fairly common sense. Most of the time it'll be smart, so I'm not going to tell you what that means because I'm not a fashion and beauty channel, but hopefully it should say in your email, so make sure you check that carefully to see what they're expecting you to wear. Just because you're at home and you're doing a video interview does not mean that you shouldn't dress smart. The second do is to ensure that your background is appropriate. Make it something professional, something which doesn't have a lot of distractions. You don't want something like this. But just the background I'm using here, something plain, something which offers no distractions, is fab. Number 3 is eye contact. When you're doing a normal interview in person, it's very easy to make eye contact with the person and to make that connection. But when you're on video, it's quite easy to look at the person doing the interview, so you're not looking at your camera. So that can be kind of distracting because it looks like you're not paying attention and you're not focusing on the interviewer. The top tip for this one, if you're on your phone or if you're on a laptop, is to stick a bit of blue tack next to the camera. And then whenever you're talking, make sure that you're looking at that piece of blue tack, and therefore you know that you're making direct eye contact with the interviewer. Even though it might seem weird to you, that's a really easy way to make sure that you're making eye contact with your interviewer. Number 4, this is be aware of your non-verbal communication. So as you're on video, you're at home, you can get distracted easily, you might fidget, you might kind of look out the window, oh, what's that? You know, it's very easy to do that as you're in a more comfortable environment. Be aware of what you're doing and avoid all your distractions basically. And also use hand gestures. All of these also apply to a regular interview, and I've already done a video on regular interview tips, so if you want to see that, you can check that out up there. Number 5, this is familiarise yourself with the software that you're using. Quite often these video interviews will be hosted via Skype or via Zoom or Microsoft Teams. If you're not familiar with the platform that your interview is going to be on, make sure that you've tried your best to get a bit of experience in it, because there's nothing worse than keeping your interviewer waiting because you're not sure how to use the software. It doesn't look professional, and ultimately, if you want the job, then you've got to come across as professional. So that's all the do's. Let's go into some don'ts. Don't be late. Very simple, and it applies for normal interviews as well as video interviews. Just because you're at home and in a comfortable environment, it doesn't mean that you can't be on time. Admittedly, you don't have the travel to worry about, but allow for any technical issues. So whether that's internet, try and get on about 5 or 10 minutes before your interview so that you're there, you're ready, and you can kind of run through some last minute preparation tips. Number 2, don't wear a mask. Now, I get that we're in the middle of a coronavirus pandemic and masks are pretty much mandatory wherever you go, but as you're in the comfort of your own home doing a video interview, you do not need to wear a mask. You're not going to pass it on to anyone, and it can actually obstruct what you're saying because it makes it less clear and the interviewers might not be able to hear it, so avoid wearing a mask. Number 3, don't eat or drink in your interview. So yeah, like I was saying, I was top salesman for 4 months in a row. It doesn't look very professional if you're eating and drinking on your video interview. Normally these are only short video interviews, so make sure that if you need to eat or you need to drink, do it beforehand or afterwards, not during. It's not a good way to come across as professional. Number 4, don't speak to other people. Mum, my washing, where is it? It doesn't look very professional. During your video interview, you're there to make a connection and to speak with your potential employer. You want to be focused completely on them and avoid any distraction or speaking to anyone else. You want to come across as professional. This leads to number 5, which is to go somewhere where you're going to be away from background noise. It looks very unprofessional if you've got all sorts of like car horns, or if you're close to a window and you know everything's kind of going on outside. Go somewhere quiet where you can be by yourself and you know you're not going to get distracted. And then number 6, which I kind of alluded to earlier, don't get distracted by things around you. Go into an environment where you're kind of by yourself, you're in your own space, you can relax and you can purely focus on that interview. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope that you found it useful. If you did, leave a like rating. And as I mentioned last week, I've started a comment of the week. If you made it to this part of the video, leave a comment saying zebras don't have stripes, with something funny or something informative. And basically I'm gonna pick my favorite comment and I'm gonna put it at the end of the next video. So my favorite comment from last week is down below. Thank you very much for that. Subscribe for new content every single Sunday. Hit that bell for notifications and I will see you next Sunday. Whereas it's much easier. Oh my days. Okay, let's do this again.